You've read the title and thumbnail. I'm going to be ranking all 32 projected starting quarterbacks on day one, and there are going to be a few hot takes in here. There are going to be a lot of takes you might disagree with and some outlandish takes. Well, for the average person, for me it's not outlandish, but you will disagree with takes in here, so feel free to comment whatever you want, as long as you know, like, you're not posting my address or anything, but feel free to disagree or whatnot, and without further ado, let's go. At number 32, dead last, is Jarrett Stidham of the Denver Broncos. Outside of upcoming rookies and sophomores, Jarrett Stidham has thrown the least passes and has the least amount of games played and started of any projected day one starter. And not only that, but his stats aren't even good in the first place. I think this is an easy number 32. At number 31, we have Daniel Jones. Now, I don't know if he's going to be the day one starter since he might not have returned to injury, but if he is healthy, I am assuming he's going to be the number one quarterback. And I don't understand why the Giants have kept him for so long. They've done barely anything in his time there. And if you look at guys like Zach Wilson or Justin Fields, Mac Jones, Kenny Pickett, the team all moved on from them very quickly, and they were all drafted years after Daniel Jones. So it does not make sense why Daniel Jones is still on that team. At number 30, we have Sam Darnold of the Minnesota Vikings. If you want to put Daniel Jones over Sam Darnold at this spot, that's fine with me. But I think with Sam Darnold, his last 2 seasons, he wasn't, fully playing. And in the few games he did play, he looked better than Daniel Jones, so that's why I'm putting him ahead. I know he's going to get replaced some point in the season, most likely, but that's not really the point. At number 29, we have Deshaun Watson of the Cleveland Browns. His last 2 seasons with the Browns have been absolutely awful, and I would say this is a make-or-break season for him. If he doesn't do well this season, the Browns have to look at replacing Watson and having a new quarterback, and I honestly think if he struggles the first few games, they could replace him with Winston, and I hope that happens. At number 28, we have Bryce Young from the Carolina Panthers. It's crazy to think, but I think some people would consider this a make-or-break year possibly for the number 1 overall pick of 2023. Now, he's got a few more weapons around him this year, like Deontay Johnson. That's really about it. Yeah, the Panthers, they really only got one good receiver in the offseason that I can think of. I'm really rooting for Bryce Young. I hope he does well, but it's not looking good in Carolina. At number 27, we have Jacoby Brissett. He came back to the Patriots this season, and he's going to serve as a kind of a mentor role for Drake May. He's probably going to get replaced midway through the season by him, but I think right now, at this current state, he's up there like 27, better than some guys like Deshaun Watson or whatever. At number 26, we have one of 2 rookies on this list, and that's Jaden Daniels. It's really hard to rank rookies since they haven't played any games yet, but I felt like this was a good spot to rank him, so Jaden Daniels at number 26. At number 25, we have Will Levis of the Tennessee Titans. Levis is entering his sophomore season, and he wasn't too bad last season, and I think he's going to only improve from here on out. He looks like the face of the franchise for the Titans. I'm ready to see what he can do. Hopefully, he can be maybe top 15 by the end of the year. At number 24, we have Gardner Minshew, who's on the Raiders this year. He's currently in a position battle with Aiden O'Connell, but Gardner Minshew, in my opinion, and I think in a lot of others' opinions, he's a lot better than Aiden O'Connell, and he deserves it, and I'm hoping to see what Gardner Minshew can do with the Raiders this season. At number 23, we have Russell Wilson of the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you told someone 2 years ago that Russell Wilson of the Pittsburgh Steelers was only the 23rd best starting quarterback in the NFL, they would simply not believe you, but here we are. He was completely screwed over by Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos last season. He had pretty good stats, but yet again, he was screwed over, and I think he can do pretty well this season with guys like Najee Harris, George Pickens, and some other guys on the team. I wouldn't sleep on the Steelers this season. I'm not even joking. At number 22, we have our other rookie, Caleb Williams, the number 1 overall pick in this year's draft. I have him at 22. I think he'll be higher than this by the end of this season, but you never know with the Chicago Bears. I'm hoping he does well. At number 21, we have Anthony Richardson of the Indianapolis Colts. Richardson was having a pretty good season, and then in the 4th game, he had a season-ending injury, and if he stayed healthy, he'd probably be a lot higher, but since he only played 4 games, I'm going to have him at 21, and I expect him to be a lot higher this season. Hopefully, if he stays healthy, of course. At number 20, we have Trevor Lawrence of the Jacksonville Jaguars. With how well 2022 was and his massive expectations going into the NFL, I was really hoping 2023 would set in stone that Trevor Lawrence was going to be a top 5 quarterback for the long run, but that proved out to not be the case, and last year was a big down season, and I'm really hoping he can turn it around in 2024 because this is looking like kind of a make or break season. I know he signed that huge contract, which hopefully that doesn't go to backfire the Jaguars, but you get the point. I'm really hoping he's higher than number 20 by the end of next season. Or I guess by the end of this year. At number 19, we have Geno Smith of the Seattle Seahawks. Geno Smith has completely rebounded his career with the Seahawks. I mean, he's done really well for himself ever since Russell Wilson left, but I don't see him lasting more than maybe 3 seasons in Seattle. I know he got Sam Howell in the offseason, but even then, I don't think he's the long-term plan. So let alone is Geno Smith the long-term plan. But for now, he's there, Seattle. He's going to be the QB1. And now 2023 was a down season, so we'll see how 2024 is. It's going to be interesting. At number 18, we have Derek Carr of the New Orleans Saints. Yeah, we're in the section of mid right now. All the quarterbacks for right now are going to be really, really mediocre in the middle. But anyway, Derek Carr last season, it was full of ups and downs. His first season in New Orleans, I doubt he actually gets replaced by Spencer Rattler this season, but if things just go off the rails, if things go completely, totally wrong, then it could happen, but I don't see it happening. Derek Carr, even though people give him a lot of flack, he is pretty solid. He is way too good to be replaced this early on. I don't know why I said early on, but you get the point. At number 17, we have Tua from the Miami Dolphins. Out of any quarterback in the NFL, I think Tua has one of the weirdest cases around him because he's had the potential. He's shown the potential to be a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. I mean, look, 29 touchdowns, almost 4,700 passing yards. He's shown the potential, but he just collapses under pressure sometimes. I mean, I know he was playing in one of the coldest games of all time against the Chiefs in the playoffs, but he's still severely disappointed. This is going to be a weird make or break year for him. I won't say make or break. He's still going to be the Dolphins guy. They give him a massive contract. It's going to be interesting to see, though, what he does this year. At number 16, we have Kyler Murray of the Arizona Cardinals. Entering the 2022 season, I'd have Kyler Murray in the top 10 or entering the top 10, somewhere around that line. But with how unhealthy he's been, he's only played 50% of the games, and with how shaky those games have been, there's just no way I could put him that high. He's right here at 16, dead middle, dead of the pack, middle of the pack. I don't know, spin that word to this point, but hopefully at the end of the season, he's way higher. He's back up in that top 10 where he was when he was healthy. At number 15, we have Baker Mayfield of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. After trying to find his footing for a long time with the Browns and then bouncing around from the Panthers and Rams, he finally found his footing on the Buccaneers, and it looks like he's here to stay for a pretty long time, for a good while with the Buccaneers. It's one of the best stories in the NFL, in my opinion. He's had one of the craziest careers so far for an NFL player, and I'm ready and excited to see what he can do in the future. At number 14, we have Matthew Stafford of the LA Rams. After having a horrendous season in 2022 where he also was plagued with injuries, he had a resurgence here in 2023, made the Pro Bowl team, and hopefully he'll have a healthy Cooper Kupp to throw to this season, and he'll still have Puka Nacua, and honestly, Matthew Stafford, he's had a low-key, underrated Hall of Fame career in my opinion. Detroit really ruined him though. At number 13, we have Kirk Cousins of the Atlanta Falcons. This will be Kirk Cousins' first season in the ATL, and he was phenomenal in his time with the Vikings. And in 2023, last season, if he stayed healthy and he turned the Vikings around, I genuinely think he had a shot at winning MVP. And of course, the injury, that's going to be a big part in this season. It could completely derail his career, but since he's a quarterback, I don't think he will, even though he's old. I'm really interested to see how he does this season. At number 12, we have Aaron Rodgers of the New York Jets. Of course, last season was his first season with the Jets, and it was supposed to be amazing. He leads them to the playoffs, all of that, and then he tears his Achilles on the first drive of the season, completely derailing the season. And it's a really interesting case with him being so old. I mean, he's 40 years old. How do you come back to that? Will he come back to that? I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers, he should, but yeah, there's so many questions with it. it's gonna be really interesting. He has one of the most interesting cases around a quarterback entering 2024. This is arguably going to be the biggest hot take you see all video long, but number 11 is Justin Herbert. Herbert's first 2 seasons in the NFL were phenomenal, but the last 2 seasons under Brandon Staley were very shaky, and with them being injured in 2023 doesn't help things. And what really doesn't help things is the fact Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are gone, but what does help is Brandon Staley is finally gone. We now enter the top 10, and we get started with Jalen Hurts. Now Hurts would be higher if him and his team didn't collapse in the final 6 games of the regular season and choked in the playoffs big time against the Buccaneers. Hopefully for them they rebound. They got Saquon Barkley during the offseason, so you never know. At number 9 we have Jared Goff of the Detroit Lions. Having him as high as 9 could seem like a hot take to sound. I completely understand that, but when you look at his stats, and Jared Goff has completely rebounded his career. His final 2 seasons with the Rams were very disappointing, and then he gets traded for Matthew Stafford, and his first season in Detroit is very disappointing. But these last 2 seasons, he's been phenomenal. He even led the Lions to the NFC Championship, and hopefully in 2024, he finally brings the Lions their first Super Bowl. At number 8, we have Brock Purdy of the San Francisco 49ers. Again, this could be seen as another hot take, and I completely agree with that. If you don't agree with this, that's fine. And I will admit, he's in a very favorable situation, but those stats are amazing. That's something Jimmy Garoppolo could never do. That's something Trey Lance can never do. That's something that most quarterbacks couldn't do. Now, if you replace him with like Mahomes or something, yeah, he's going to put up some Madden type numbers, but again, Brock Purdy, out of any quarterback so far under the Kyle Shanahan system, has had the best numbers. I'm going to applaud that. At number 7, we have Jordan Love of the Green Bay Packers. Last season was his first full season starting in Green Bay, and he was absolutely phenomenal, and I only expect him to go up from here. I expect him to be an MVP candidate this season. I think he has the potential to be in the top 5 by the end of this season. At number 6, we have CJ Stroud of the Houston Texans. Last year, he won Offensive Rookie of the Year, and his career is looking very bright and promising, and it's only going to get better this season with additions like Stephon Diggs on the offense. I can't wait to see what the Houston Texans do this year, and you never know, CJ Stroud, by the end of this season, might be top 3. We now enter the top 5, and our first player in the top 5 is Dak Prescott of the Dallas Cowboys. A lot of people hate on Dak Prescott. It's really just because he plays for the Cowboys, and also I will admit, he is a playoff choker, but last season, he had an MVP caliber season. I think CMC should have won it, but Dak Prescott was up there, and 2024 should be a big year. It's a make or break season with him for the Cowboys, though. If they don't do well, he might be gone. So, this next season is going to be really interesting. At number 4, we have Lamar Jackson of the Baltimore Ravens. I don't really need to say too much. He's coming off an MVP season. I will admit he did not deserve it. But anyway, he was a part of the best team last season, and he's got a lot to prove in 2024 if they make the playoffs. Can he finally prove everyone wrong? And he can beat the playoff choker allegations. We'll see. At number 3, we have Joe Burrow of the Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah, last season was a down season, and then he got injured for the entire season, but people forget what Joe Burrow has done. 2 MVP caliber seasons. He led the Bengals to the Super Bowl in only his 2nd season, and then the year after, another MVP caliber season, and they lead them to the AFC title game. Don't count out Joe Burrow. If he stays healthy, this team and him will be back. At number 2, we have Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills. Alright, call him overrated, that's fine, but he's year in, year out proved that he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. He's having MVP caliber seasons almost every year. It is going to be weird, however, this season because he's lost a lot of his great players, including his number 1 receiver, Stephon Diggs. It's going to be really interesting. It's just a mini rebuild, I'm guessing, but we'll see. In number 1 is Patrick Mahomes. There's no shock here. I don't even need to explain why. He should be number 1 on everyone's list. Again, I'm not going to explain why. I'm just milking this so I can get to 14 minutes. And that's about it for the video. Bye.